Hey everyone, I'm here today in Santa Cruz. I'm at Sea Bright Beach, and today we have something super special. I'm here with Julia from Verve, and she's going to tell you a bit about today's drop.
We can't wait to share this coffee with you. It is fire. This is Ricardo Zelaya Gesha, exclusive to Fellow Drops, and we're so excited. What do you say? Let's brew it, Cap.
Let's brew it. We're so excited about this coffee that we're going to brew it right here on this bench on this beach. And I'm going to have Julia tell us a little bit about how this coffee tastes.
It has notes of white peach, gardenia, and agave. Perfect way to bring you into spring.
We're going to brew it right now.
Wait, what are you guys doing?
We're brewing coffee.
Brewing coffee.
Why don't we just walk around the corner and go brew it at the Verve Cupping Lab?
Okay.
You're right. All right, let's go. All right, so we're back at the Verve Cupping Lab, and I'm here with Kylee, and she's going to tell us a bit more about this coffee.
Hi, my name's Kylee, and I'm the green coffee buyer for Verve. So the coffee that we have for the Fellow Drop, as Julia was telling you earlier, is the Ricardo Zelaya Gesha from Guatemala. This coffee is so cool. It's just such a really great, bright, light, vibrant, juicy coffee with notes of white peach, gardenia, and agave type sweetness. And it comes from the northern part of Guatemala in Antigua, from the Bella Vista Mill. And we get a lot of our Guatemalan coffee from them. They're just so incredible. But yeah, so it's just a really great coffee. We brewed it as pour over. We loved it. It cupped awesome through the whole cupping process. Yeah, so it's just a really exciting coffee, and we're really excited to share it with Fellow and Fellow only. This Gesha varietal, as you can see, is just super clean. The green samples are just really beautiful, even in color. And as they roast, they kind of have that same even consistency, which will make for an even more consistent, vibrant, awesome cup of coffee.
Yeah, so we're super happy to be dropping this coffee, and I'm going to have Kylee show us how to brew it on our Stag X dripper.
Cool, so we are gonna go ahead and do this brew with the recipe that Hailie from Fellow created for us. We're gonna start by putting 24 grams of coffee, or 24.5 grams of coffee into the Stag X dripper. And I've already got my water heated up behind me, ready to go to 205 degrees. So we are set. This was ground using the Fellow grinder, the Ode, and the grind setting was a 4. So I've got my water back here, and let's get started. We're gonna do the bloom at about double the weight of the coffee. So I'm gonna try to hit it like somewhere around 49 grams. Went to 54, but that's okay, things happen. Cool, so we're gonna let that bloom for a little bit, and it already smells really good. Yeah, this coffee is just super fruity, light, fragrant, exciting. Even the beans taste pretty good. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start pouring our first pour. All right, get that water. I'm gonna try to get it right to 150. Yeah, so true to most Guatemalan coffees, it's gonna be really clean, bright, got those good high notes, but also have those really well-rounded deep base notes. It would pair really well with milk and sugar if that's something you're into, but it's also got all of the qualities to keep it nice and simple just for drinking it by itself. I'm gonna finish pouring some more water in here. I'm getting so excited to try this. I haven't had it in such a long time. It's such, yeah, when we were cupping this coffee, everybody here on the Verve team, when it was on the table, we were like, this coffee is it. It's so great. It just has everything that we love about coffee, which is what made it perfect to share it with other people who also just really love coffee. Good people, good coffee. And according to Hailie's recipe, she had me stopping this right at 350. So I'm going to finish doing that last pour. Get it right to 350. Boop. Cool. Yeah, and the total brew time should be somewhere around like 3 to 4 minutes.
I've never actually used the Stag X. I'm really excited. What?
Oh. It has 10 holes and it has double insulation, so it drains a lot faster. Also the filters.
Yeah. Well, Brian, you want to try the coffee?
I do.
Here's some cups. I'm making a big mess. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thoughts?
It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I think, you really get hit at first with that light white peach juiciness. Mm-hmm. And then as it sits a little bit more in your mouth, you get the light florals layered into it. But it still, like I said, has that really clean element of just that agave type sweetness. Not like a sugary, sticky, syrupy sweetness, but just a really light, refreshing sweetness.
Yeah.
Yeah, additional brew tips, maybe let it sit a little bit before you burn your tongue on it.
Yeah. But this is a really sweet coffee though. Really smooth. This is incredibly smooth. And it does have that agave sweetness, but it's not like an overpowering super sweet to it. It's just a very comforting sweetness.
It's super awesome. I'm super excited that we have it and we get to share it with people. That's probably my favorite part about buying coffee, is getting to find really great things and being able to share it with people. Even the partners that we have down in Guatemala who helped us source this coffee, they're also just exceptional people. So it's amazing to be able to find exceptional coffee and share it with people who love coffee.
Mm-hmm. This is also really good.
Yeah, well, and that's what's really cool about these Geshas coming from Guatemala, is that they don't have that super, or at least me, I know, I used to associate a Gesha profile with super crazy, bright, floral, in your face, like, oh my God. And this coffee isn't like that. Mm-hmm. It's super balanced, really well-rounded, and it's just good coffee. I've said that like 6 times, but there's no better way to explain it.
You're absolutely right. With some of these Geshas, they can be super like acidic punchiness to it. This is interesting because it's just smooth and it does have that roundness to it. And this is great. And I think if you're brewing at home, definitely try this recipe out.
Well, Hailie knocked it out of the park with this recipe. Yeah. I mean, that was spot on.
And it's all because you picked some really great coffee for us.
Teamwork.
Yeah. So this is great as a pour over. And for those of you who know, I am definitely more of an espresso guy, but I'm actually gonna have Kylee show us how to pull this as an espresso. And we're gonna go downstairs to the Verve training lab to do that. Boom, transition. All right, so I'm here in the training lab now. We're downstairs and we're gonna now pull this coffee as an espresso.
All right, let's see what happens.
So what's your recipe for this one?
I've actually never pulled this coffee as espresso, so we're gonna roll with it. I'm gonna see what it's dosing at. So this dose was at 20.9. That's a little high for me. I want it to be a little bit lower. I'm gonna try to hit somewhere around like 19.4 maybe. Feels right. We're gonna see what happens. I haven't pulled shots of espresso in a while, but I did work in the cafes, so we're gonna go for it.
Yeah, well, I'm always excited to try all of these coffees as an espresso.
Yeah, so my dose was 19.4 based off of how quickly it pulls. I'm gonna try to maybe stop it around like 22, 23 seconds, and hopefully have an out between like 29 and 30 is gonna be, or 29 and 39 is gonna be my goal. And 43.
Yeah.
Well, let's try it.
Thank you.
How's it smell?
It smells really good.
Yeah?
Very aromatic.
Nice. Scared to burn my mouth again after that last one. All right, cheers.
Cheers. This is really good.
Yeah.
This is also really good.
Wow.
This coffee's great.
That worked out really well. I would say pulling it again, I would maybe make my grind a little bit finer to not have such a, it's not like a thin mouthfeel. I want it to be a little bit more full-bodied, but flavor-wise, this is great.
Yeah, the finish on this is also really round. With a lot of Geshas, you try pulling them as espressos, you just get a ton of acidity.
Yeah.
And this just doesn't have any of that, which this is insanely good.
Yeah, well, and I found with pulling shots with coffee like this, the bigger the out, they tend to be really, really fun. I know with competition coffees, when they use crazy things in barista competitions, they go for that bigger out. So yeah, the 43 out really worked well.
Yeah, I'm about to finish mine, but it's great. Still really great mouthfeel, even with a longer ratio. But what's surprising to me is that this is incredibly sweet, and the finish is nice and round. No acidity at all, even in this espresso and in that longer ratio, which is insane to say. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, awesome.
Wow. So that was how you brewed this Ricardo Zelaya Gesha on a pour-over as well as espresso. I want to really thank Kylee for joining us today to show us how to brew this coffee and talk all about it. It's just super awesome to share great coffee with great people, and I'm just super happy that we're able to come to Verve to film.
I'm happy you guys made it down here. It was a great day, and I'm really excited to, like I said, share this coffee and be a part of it. It's awesome.
So now let's turn it over to Hailie to show you how to brew this coffee on a French press as well as Aeropress.
Hey, what's going on, fellow fans? Hailie here, back in our beloved playground to brew some Aeropress and some Clara with you. We're super stoked that Verve bought this coffee, especially for us. I mean, I've personally been a Verve fan for so long, and I mean, can you tell? This opportunity to collaborate with them in this way is super sick, and especially since this coffee is freaking delicious, just chef's kiss. To collaborate with a Bay Area roaster that's really, really making moves in the specialty industry and really leading in the specialty industry is just a dream come true. So thanks for buying this for us. All right, so Aeropress first. So first thing I'm gonna do is heat my water up to 205 degrees. This Gesha is super mellow for a Gesha, so I bumped up the temperature here just to get as much out of it as possible, because usually Aeropress is brewed at a little bit lower temperatures. But 205 I'm sticking with because, again, super mellow Gesha, super low acidity. You can really push the envelope on this one. I'm brewing again with one of my favorite fellow gadgets. It is the Prismo Aeropress attachment. We love it. It's leak proof. I've said this before and I say it again. It's leak proof. It's super, super great in that way. Also, one thing that I haven't really talked about with Prismo is how it's actually less waste over time, because you don't have to use paper filters anymore, right? So you just rinse the metal filter and go along. And it doesn't even take that much water to rinse. It's just a quick 1-2, and then you're ready to go back in. I love Prismo. So I'm hoping also that Prismo gives me the edge to give this Gesha, which typically is characterized by a thinner, cleaner body. I'm hoping it gives me that like slight fluffiness, that slight decadence in the end result. All right, so we're gonna make sure that we are pre-warming our vessel and our Aeropress, because if you don't, I'll be sad, Brian will be sad. So pre-warm your vessels, just in case. All right, turn the Akai scale on, and I'm gonna put in 15 grams of coffee, 210 grams of water out, so we're gonna stick to a 14-to-1 ratio. I'm going to grind on stock Ode 4, Ode with SSP for +2 clicks. For all other grinders, you're gonna want to go a medium coarse, so slightly coarser than you would for filter. Especially if you're using Prismo, you want to go even a little bit coarser than you normally would for Aeropress, if that makes sense. So with standard attachment, you're going slightly coarser than filter. With Prismo, you can afford to go even a little bit coarser than that. All right, I'm gonna go grind this. All right, so now that we're all ground up, we are going to put our whole system, apparatus, situation, vessel, and Aeropress back on the scale, tear it out. We're going to quickly pour our grounds in, and with Ode's catch cup, you don't need the Aeropress funnel because it has pour fins on the inside. Super cool. To direct your grounds so that they don't go everywhere. No one likes it when coffee grounds go everywhere unless you do, at which point My apologies for putting words in your mouth. I really didn't mean to speak for you. All right, so now that this is all done, we shake out to get an even bed of grounds, even though we really don't need to with immersion. It's just a good habit to have. Tear out your scale again, grab your water, and go ahead and hit that start button. We're gonna pour up to 210 grams of water at 205 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, and pro tip, always have your rag handy and ready. I sure didn't. You caught me slipping. Won't happen again. Probably will happen again at some point, but not in this video. All right, so we're waiting until 30 seconds to go ahead and agitate for 10. You have room to agitate a little bit vigorously because it's such a short brew time. We're only gonna go up to 2 minutes. So you can agitate pretty vigorously. Don't go super crazy with it to where you're splashing coffee everywhere, but you don't have to be super gentle. All right, so we're at 1 minute and 4, just about. So gonna go up again to 2 minutes. This is the waiting game, the waiting part of Aeropress. God, I love Aeropress. Such a great invention. So we're gonna get ready to plunge. I'm gonna take my whole system off of the scale so that I'm not plunging onto the scale because again, that throws your scale out of whack. And we are at 2 minutes, we are ready to go. Steady, even pressure all the way down. So you hear it start to hiss. And then you're good. Love that leak-proof Prismo. I can just pull my Aeropress right off of the vessel and then put it aside. Don't worry about it until I clear it. And now we have a longer pull of Aeropress coffee to enjoy. I heard from the wonderful people at Verve and from Brian that this coffee does benefit from longer pulls, and I'm super excited to try it. All right, so we're gonna set that aside, we're gonna let it cool, and now we're gonna talk about Clara. Now for part 2, we're gonna go a little bit bigger volume and true immersion. We are going to brew with Clara French Press. The recipe that I'm using today is I'm gonna do 46 or 46.5 grams in to about 750 grams out, which is in the realm of a 15-to-1 ratio, giving a true full immersion brew flavor profile and flavor experience. Also, you can push a lot out of this coffee again because it's characterized by a smoothness and a low acidity for a Gesha. That's really gonna be fun to play with immersion here. Okay, so first thing you wanna do is measure out that 46 grams of coffee. I say 46 to 46.5 because we have room to play with an immersion brew. Let's grind. And I am going to grind on stock Ode 6 plus 1 click, Ode with SSP 7, and then any other grinder we're gonna look for a coarse, but just tipping over into the coarse section, especially with Clara, you're not gonna wanna go too coarse. You just wanna be getting in like out of the medium coarse and into the coarse spectrum of the world, universe, coffee grinders stuff. I'm gonna go grind. Once we've got the ground coffee, we want to go ahead and swoosh around the little water that we're using to pre-warm, right? We wanna prevent water waste, so we can use friction to warm up the sidewalls and the filter, and then I'm gonna dump it out. All right, so we're gonna put our Clara on our Akaya scale, tear everything out, go ahead and dump our 46 to 46.5 grams of coffee in there. Make sure that it's all in there. Shake out for good measure. Again, you don't really need a flat, even bed of grounds for immersion, but it's just a good habit to get into. Tear everything out again, and we're gonna pour up to 750 or about to that ratio aid line that's on the inside of Clara French Press. If you're not using a scale, Clara has a little line with a water drop on the top that suggests where to stop pouring. Super great, especially for traveling or just when you're not around your scale. So start your timer as soon as you start pouring in. You wanna try to soak all of the grounds as evenly as possible, but you're gonna wanna pour pretty quickly here. Up to 750. And then I'm going to wait until 40 seconds to give this coffee some nice, even agitation, not super vigorous because this is true immersion, so the grounds are not leaving the chamber where the coffee is going to end up as well, so you don't want to over agitate. So I'm going to wait until 40 seconds and give nice gentle back and forth motion agitation for 10 seconds, so from 40 to 50 seconds, starting now. All right, we've got the agitation, cool. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this Clara off of my Acaia scale because again, we're gonna plunge with this brew method. All right, so right at about 2 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and plunge halfway down. I really wanna get this, like I wanna get as much out of this Gesha as possible. And especially because it's characterized by a smoothness and a low acidity, I know that I can push it pretty far. So we are just about at 2 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and, all right, so we're right at about 2 minutes. I'm gonna plunge about halfway down and then I wait. I'm also gonna pour my palate cleanser since I am trying our cooled down Aeropress brew and the Clara brew pretty much side by side, just for comparison. Always good to have a little bubbly water in between to cleanse the palate, or still water, whichever you'd prefer. And then I'm gonna plunge all the way at 4 minutes. In the meantime, in the minute before we have to plunge, I can try our cooled down Aeropress brew. Yep, that sure is agave. Holy moly. But it is so mellow. Like the acidity is such an afterthought. It's really impressive. Wow, and Prismo did pull out a fluffiness, a decadence, as it often does. Really gave it that texture, even having sat and cooled for a moment here. All right, I'm gonna take a pause on that Aeropress brew, and I'm gonna go ahead and plunge all the way on Clara. Great, and we're ready to pre-warm our vessel for Clara. Now I'm just gonna pour a little bit of Clara. And Clara also has a no drip spout, so when you're pouring, it's not gonna dribble all over your counter, which is something that we, chef's kiss, we love. Yep, and like as it cools down, you get more of that white peach. You get more of that just like peach in general and that sort of round fruit sweetness, again, right at the end. All right, let's see the difference here. Ooh, great, okay. So this is really interesting. Still very smooth, still incredibly smooth, but Clara brought out more of the acidity and allowed for more of that acidity to shine through. Still very low, but it's more present with Clara, which one, longer brew time, and two, the grounds are in the chamber with the coffee in immersion brew, right? So they're brewing for a longer period of time and like more of the white peach, more of the roundness, just, I mean, which is not surprising. Of course, French press and immersion, true immersion is always characterized by more. All right, guys, thanks so much for brewing immersion, almost immersion, and true immersion with me this week. Thank you so much to all the folks at Verve for not only buying this coffee for us to drop exclusively, but for brewing with Brian. Wish I could have made it. So sorry I couldn't make it, but thank you so much for brewing with us, buying this coffee for us, collabing with us. Thank you to everyone who's watching this video. Please let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know what we can do. Let us know what you'd like to see. We're always paying attention, and it's super easy to order from Drops. Just text us back with the number of bags of coffee that you want, however many. We will not judge, and we will send them to you. And we'll see you next week for another brew demo video, for another brew video. Thanks, guys.